Very good day, children. Today we are going to see the topic human reproduction, the second lesson. So, in this topic, what are all the subtopics which we are going to deal with? Let us see a small look at that. Human reproductive system, the first topic. After that is gametogenesis, menstrual cycle, fertilization, implantation, and maintenance of pregnancy and embryonic development, and the final one, parturation and the lactation process. So, these are the topics which we are going to cover today. So, the very first topic which we are going to discuss is the human reproduction. First of all, let us see why we have to reproduce, why the human should reproduce, what is the agenda of reproduction. So, here an individual may live a long healthy life without producing an offspring, but reproduction is essential for the survival of the species. So, when I say survival, okay, every organism has to survive, but the agenda of the survivability in the nature is to reproduce. They have to sustain in this nature. So, for that reproduction is the most essential aspect. So, the reproductive system has four main functions, as we say, to produce the gametes. So, they have to produce the gametes to perpetuate their population. So, next one, they have to produce the sperm and ova, that is the gametes, male and female gametes. After that, they have to transport it and sustain these gametes, and after that they have to nurture and the developing offsprings, and after that they have to produce certain hormones which are coordinating for the reproduction and assisting the reproductive systems. So, the major reproductive events which you are going to see in this are the gametogenesis. The first step is the gametogenesis. So, genesis means production. What production? Gametes production. So, the formation of gametes by spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Spermatogenesis, production of sperms, and oogenesis, production of the egg or ova. And after that, the second one is the insemination. So, after the production of the gametes, what is the next process? They have to transport it. So, the transfer of sperms by the male into the female genital tract. So, that is insemination. And the next one, fertilization. After transport, what is the next process? Obviously, it is the fertilization process. That means the fusion of male and female gametes and to form a zygote. So, that is the agenda. So, this is called fertilization. You can see the picture how they all unite and they form the zygote. After the zygote formation, they have to undergo a rapid division, what do you call it as cleavage. So, that is a mitotic division indeed. So, this zygote which will be converted into a single celled zygote into a multicellular blastocyst. So, the process, the essential of this cleavage is that converting a single celled layer blastula into a multicellular structure, what do you call it as blastocyst. And after that is implantation. Implantation means you have to implant the blastocyst, attachment of the blastocyst into the uterus, into the uterine wall, because they have to proceed with the subsequent development. Then after that is placentation, very essential structure, that is placentation, the formation of the placenta, which is an intimate connection, what do you call it as? It is an intimate connection with the fetus and the developing uterine wall of the mother. See, mainly this is for the exchange of nutrients, because the developing fetus has to get some sort of nutrient from the mother. That is the only way for that to survive. So, for that this placentation is improving. And after that is the gastrulation. After getting implanted, it has to undergo the next stage, that means the gastrulation, that is formation of the primary germ layers. So, here the blastocyst is changed into gastrula. Blastocyst is changed into a gastrula with 3 prime germ layers, what do you call it as ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. So, these are the primordial germ layers which in future goes for organogenesis. The next one is organogenesis, that means the specific tissues, organs and organ systems, all these are developing. So, only from these 3 layers. And after that the parturation. After the organ system, organogenesis, everything is completed, the complete development of the fetus is seen. After that it has to go for the last stage, what you call it as parturation, that means expulsion of the fetus, that is from the expulsion of the fetus from the mother's womb, what do you call it as the child birth. So, here you can see that the action of giving birth is called as parturation. So, next one, after this what will happen? So, we have to find that after this what are all the organs which are involved in this reproductive system. So, what are all the accessory reproductive organs which is associated with this reproductive system. So, first one is the primary reproductive organs. We should know what are primary reproductive organs. That means the ovary and testis. We say the ovary and testis are said to be is responsible for the reproductive system or the reproductive functional aspect. So, for that it is the ovary will be producing the ova and the testis will be producing the sperms. So, associated with this is some the glands like pituitary glands and gonads. So, their hormones are responsible for the secondary sexual characters. That means you are attaining a maturity, that puberty. Puberty level is attained only by the secretion of pituitary glands and the gonads. So, here maturation, regulation, normal functioning of reproductive organs, everything is governed by this pituitary gland and the gonads. So, finally, you have the accessory organs, that means which is coordinating with the reproductive organs. So, those accessory organs, they have to access the reproduction. So, to transport and sustain the gametes, they have to transport and sustain the gametes, after that to the respective organs, then there they have to nurture them, nurture the developing offspring. Okay. Then now let us see first about the human reproductive system. So, in that human reproductive system, let us see about the male reproductive system. A general view of the structure, just all very simple structure we are going to see. So, the male reproductive system, as we say, see the picture here, a pair of testes. One is a human reproductive system. So, in this human reproductive system, we have male and female. The first one, very simple organization. Let us have about the knowledge about this. That is, when you say male reproductive system, it is only a pair of testes. The main organ is a pair of testes, accessory ducts, glands and external genitalia. Only these are the essential organs which are present in the male reproductive system. And out of that we have the testis. Testis, it is said to be the primary male sex organ. When you call it as a primary male sex organ, even if it is rudiment, it is not said to be a male. So, it has to develop first in the nature. So, that is more essential. And after that, this primary male sex organ, it is a pair of ovoid bodies lying in the scrotum. See here in the picture. So, the testis which is lying in the scrotum. So, the scrotum, actually it is a fold of skin which is present outside the abdominal cavity. The scrotum is said to be present outside the abdominal cavity. What is the reason for the presence of this scrotum outside the body cavity is that viable sperms cannot be produced. Viable sperms have to be produced if you want to have functional sperms. For that, it has to be present outside the abdominal cavity. Just to have a lesser degree, that is 2 to 3 degree of centigrade, has to be maintained to maintain the viability of the sperms. That is the internal body temperature. Less than that, it has to be maintained. So, the scrotum is said to be the thermoregulator for spermatogenesis. Do you understand the reason why it is present outside the body in the abdominal cavity? After that, the testis, let us see the structure of testis. So, here you see in this picture, it is covered by an outer membrane. What do you call it as? The fibrous, tunica, albuginea. The outermost layer we call it as fibrous, tunica, albuginea. Tunica means always it is said to be the membrane, albuginea. So, here it is separated by septums. So many septa are there, nearly 200 to 250 lobules are present inside and containing each 2 to 4 highly coiled structure. What do you call it as the seminiferous tubules? See the picture here, seminiferous tubules, which are the site of sperm production. So, here is the site where the sperms are produced. And next, the stratified epithelium. So, you see the structure of this seminiferous tubules here. You can see the stratified epithelium, which is having two types of cells. One is the Sertoli cells, another one is the Leydig cells. So, Sertoli cells, see here the structure where and all it is present. Actually, these Sertoli cells are otherwise called as nurse cells, because what do? They give nourishment for the sperms till maturation. So, till maturation they have to get some sort of nourishment. So, that is aided only by this Sertoli cells. And also they secrete a hormone, what do you call it as inhibin. So, this is having a negative feedback control. That means even after the maturation, the sperm has to subside its activity. So, it has to be controlled. So, under control is given only by this inhibin. So, that is why we call it as negative feedback mechanism, which is aided by the inhibin produced in the Sertoli cells. After that is the spermatogonic cells or the male germ cells produced spermatozoa by meiotic division. So, here so far you will see the mitotic division. Now, it enters into the next stage meiotic division. So, when I say meiotic division, it is the reduction division. To maintain the normal number of chromosomes, we have to undergo this meiotic division. Here this goes in the spermatogonic cells. So, apart from this, we have another cells, what you call it as the interstitial cells. So, here and all we will find this interstitial cells or Leydig cells. So, this is said to be a connective tissue. Actually, this is connecting the spermatogonic cells then and there. See whatever it is present on the outside. So, Leydig cells, actually this is surrounding and this is endocrine in nature. This Leydig cells are said to be endocrine in nature partly. Why it is that? It secretes the testosterone hormone. You need to have some androgens. So, you wanted to say you are a male, you are a female, for that you should have an androgens. That androgen is secreted by the interstitial cells or Leydig cells. So, here the hormone testosterone, a maleness is given only by the production of testosterone hormone, which initiate the process spermatogenesis. Okay. Next, let us see a small schematic sketch how the production takes place, how does it descend from this structure, okay, the sperms. So, the accessory ducts also associated with that, what do you call it as the retitestis, vasa efferentia, epididymis and vas deferens. So, these are the structures which you will find here. In this, what will happen first in the seminiferous tubules, the highly coiled structure within the lobules, you can see that they converge. What do? They all converge and then they reach the tubulus rectus. See here, it reaches here. After that, so here they convey the sperms in this place and from this it goes to the retitestis. See, all these are converged to form the retitestis in this portion. So, here the tubular network on the posterior side of the testis, the retitestis is present. So, here the sperm leaves after the production from the seminiferous tubule gets collected here, here it leaves in the testis, retitestis and then it reaches the epididymis. See here the structure, it takes a turn and you turn, it takes like this, epididymis. So, here this leads to vas deferens. After that the epididymis leads to vas deferens. So, here also it is a coiled structure. Actually, the retitestis is connected with the epididymis. From epididymis the sperm descends through the vasa differentia and then it joins the duct of seminal vesicle. So, here you see it joins here the duct of seminal vesicle and here it forms the ejaculatory duct. Do you find the ejaculatory duct here? Doesn't see? Never mind, it passes through the prostate gland. Here it passes through the prostate gland, then it opens into the urethra. Urethra means what is that? Actually, this opens into the urinary bladder. Actually, this is originating from the urinary bladder, the ureter, and then that's said to be the terminal portion of the reproductive system. So, one interesting factor is that actually it conveys both urine as well as the semen at different times. Difference joins the duct of seminal vesicle. See here the duct of seminal vesicle, here a pair is present. Now, here it forms the ejaculatory duct which passes through the ureter. So, actually before that it enters into the prostate glands. So, it is also a pair. Finally, it opens into the urethra. Actually, this urethra is originated from the urinary bladder. It is the origination from the urinary bladder and this is the terminal portion of the male reproductive system. So, one interesting factor is that this conveys both urine and semen at different times. So, both does not come out at the same time, either urine or the semen will come at different times. So, this is the interesting factor in the male reproductive system. Next one, what are the accessory glands of male reproductive system? So, to support this we need some accessory glands. So, for that the first one is the paired seminal vesicles, bulbourethral glands or Cowper's glands, single prostate gland. So, these three are said to be the accessory glands. See in the picture we have the paired seminal vesicles. So, paired seminal vesicles, so they secrete an alkaline fluid, what do you call it as seminal plasma. So, this alkaline fluid is containing certain amount of the what do you call it as the ingredients like the fructose sugar and the ascorbic acid, prostaglandins, coagulating enzymes and the vesiclase. So, here the vesiclase, this enhances the sperm motility. So, the motility, azoospermia or oligospermic condition, everything is made possible only by the vesiclase because this is the one which gives the motility for the sperms. So, this is about the seminal vesicle. The next is the bulbourethral glands. So, here it is only for lubricating. So, this secretes the lubricating enzymes and slightly acidic in nature. See, seminal plasma is alkaline in nature. Here bulbourethral glands secretion is said to be acidic fluid, and this contains the citrate and the prostate specific antigens. Later on in the next lesson you will be learning about the antigen. So, it will be rejecting, the sperm reject its own sperms. So, the male reproductive system, the sperm produced will be rejecting its own sperms. Such things you will be learning in the next lesson. So, that is why we cross about this prostate specific antigen, a small line. And what is a semen or a seminal fluid? So, here when I say a semen, this contains the sperms, seminal plasma secreted by the seminal vesicle, bulbourethral glands and prostate glands. So, what is the function? It is only a transport medium. It is only a transport medium for the sperms. Also, it provides nutrients, chemicals that protects and activate the sperms. Sperms has to be activated. So, that is done by the seminal fluid or the semen. So, the penis is said to be the external genitalia, copulatory organs, so which is formed of a loose fold of skin, that is the prepuce. So, all these are meant only for insemination, transport of sperms into the female genital tract. So, that is the agenda. So, the next reproductive system is the female reproductive system. Here it is said to be more complex than the male reproductive system. Why? The nurture, because it has to nurture the developing fetus in addition to the gamete formation. Okay. So, that is why we call it as the more complex system. So, here the FRS or the female reproductive system consists of a pair of ovaries. So, here you can see the ovaries, oviduct and the uterus, cervix, vagina and the external genitalia, everything is present in the pelvic region. Okay. And the FRS we say along with the mammary glands. So, this is integrated with the mammary glands. So, that is why the mammary glands as well as the FRS female reproductive system were in a deep association. So, to support the process of the ovulation, fertilization, pregnancy, childbirth and care. Okay. That is the reason mammary gland is associated with FRS. So, all these process, the four process has to be supported with the help of mammary gland. Okay. So, first one is the ovaries. So, let us see about the structure. Ovary, see the picture here, ovaries, they are the primary female sex organ, located on each side of the lower abdomen. A pair is present here, see the picture there given. So, here the female gamete produces the ovum. So, this produces the ovum. You see the picture of ovary, it is an elliptical structure and nearly about 2 to 4 centimeter long, that is all very small in that, and it is this also is covered by the tunica, albuginea, the germinal epithelium enclosing the ovaries. We call it as germinal epithelium because this was produced in the development stage itself. When it is in the fetus condition, that type itself, this germinal epithelium is produced. And the ovarian stroma, so we call it as a stroma because it is having two types of cells in that, that is the cortex and the medulla. Cortex on the outermost region and medulla in the innermost region. Cortex is said to have the ovarian follicles. See here, all ovarian follicles will be present here, and the medulla region shows the loose connective tissues, and here blood vessels and nervous tissues are also present here. All nerve fibers are present here. That is why this is said to be a loose connective tissue. And apart from that, the attachment of the ovary to the pelvic is done by the mesovarium. This mesovarium is the ovarian ligament. Actually, the attachment of ovary with the ovarian ligament is done by the mesovarium. So, here mesovarium in female reproductive system and mesorchium in male reproductive system. So, female accessory organs. So, what are all the accessory organs? This is a must. These organs are must for the reproductive system of female. Then you call it as the fallopian tube or the oviduct. See here the fallopian tube. So, here in this fallopian tube we have three parts. That means the first one is the proximal part or the infundibulum. After that the middle layer ampulla and then the isthmus. So, all these are constituting the fallopian tube or the oviduct, and then actually in the infundibulum you can see a finger like projections are present. Actually this receives the ova from the ovary. Soon after the ovulation it is receiving this ova. So, after that the fimbriae, through the fimbriae it reaches the infundibulum and then it reaches the wider part, what you call it is ampulla, and this ampulla leads to isthmus. So, this is this isthmus portion connecting the fallopian tube to the uterus wall. Okay. After that, you can see the structure of the uterus, the cross section you can see here. In this, the uterus or the womb, which is said to be having the middle portion, what you call it as the body, fundus, leading to cervix, cervical canal, vagina, external orifice. And here this uterus, the wall of the uterus is said to have three main layers, a perimetrium, myometrium and endometrium. Perimetrium very thin layer I say, and myometrium is the middle muscular layer. Actually this is undergoing strong contraction during parturation. So that contraction is aided only by this myometrium, and endometrium obviously this exhibits the cyclic changes during the menstrual cycle. Okay. So what are the glands which is associated with the FRS, that is the female reproductive system? Like the male reproductive system, here also we have two glands associated with that. One is the Bartholin's gland and the Skene's gland. Actually this Bartholin's glands is homologous to the male reproductive system, the bulbourethral glands. So here also they secrete only a mucus. Another one, Skene's gland, this is also homologous to the prostate glands of males, secretes the mucus, and these two acts as a lubricant. So that is the actually the essential organs and the accessory organs, they support the female reproductive system and thereby aiding a successful reproductive capacity in the human beings. Thank you.